Well, hello there. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Full Quota podcast. My name is Mpho and Tim. I've got Tim Delace here with me. Tim, how are you doing?
Refreshed after a much needed haircut.
You're standing between me and a haircut. I look very scruffy, if I say so myself, but looks like I've been in hibernation and it's spring, so we need to, start afresh. But anyway, haircuts are good. This is your South African Cricket Podcast. If you don't know already, if you are new to us, please do check us out at Full Quota Pod on X. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're also available on Apple Podcast and Spotify. Search Full Quota Podcast. And finally, if you'd like to support us, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/Full Quota Podcast. Join the group of people that has been supporting us. We do this without sponsorship, and it's not as though we don't need sponsorship. We are looking for it, and if you'd like to sponsor us, we're happy to have the conversation. But in the meantime, you can support us at buymeacoffee.com. It helps us keep the podcast going. We're going to be rebranding soon, and so just watch the space. All the contributions have gone to that, and getting out new content. And also, you can send us an email at sacricketpod@gmail.com. So this podcast today was supposed to be your annual SA20 draft podcast, right? The SA20 draft is on Tuesday next week. And so we're going to talk all things SA20 draft because it's the fourth iteration of the SA20. So people are moving around. So that's going to be interesting. But in keeping with the principle and the tradition of this podcast, we do South African cricket news, and the biggest news that have come out of South African cricket this week is the Proteas Women's World Cup squad for the World Cup in India and Sri Lanka later in next month, essentially. And so what Tim and I are going to be doing now is talking about that. It was announced earlier this week. Not a lot of surprises, but it's still a conversation point and it's very important. And then after that, we'll go into the draft. Let me just put up the slide. So the South African women, the Proteas women who are going to be representing us at the World Cup in India and Sri Lanka, will be captained by Laura Volfart, Ayabonga Kakas in his team, Chloe Tryon, Nadine de Klerk, Marazan Kap, Tasman Brits, Nala Jafta, Nonguleko Mlaba, Annery Dirksen, Masabat Glass, Annika Bosch, Sune Lees, Karabo Miso, Dumisa Kukune, and Nondumisa Shangase. We must also note that Mia Naismith is a traveling reserve in the team. Tim, what say you about this team?
Before we went live and we started this podcast, you made a good point. So I will leave that potential weakness to your side. I was very much thinking along the lines of the tried and tested, and I think it's a risk. I think going with the tried and tested, I think that in that middle order of the batting in particular, I think I'm a little bit concerned. We've been saying for months now that this is the time that you give it to new people who are knocking on the door, who are doing the runs domestically, who have got runs for SAA or SA Emerging, who have recently been at that part of the world, so they've, with an SA Emerging side, so they've become a little bit accustomed to the conditions over Sunil Luce, who has been struggling with the bat recent times, and somebody who I've been a massive supporter of, even when she was struggling before her injury. I've been a huge supporter of Annika Bosch. I've really, when things were down, I was always on her side because I knew there was a player there. But she hasn't played for 6 months. Now, that's largely due to injury, so that's not her fault. But did you rush her into a World Cup squad? Did you go, right, you haven't played cricket for 6 months, so we're gonna put you in? They've basically said to Darnay that you haven't played cricket of a higher level, so we're not going to put you in the World Cup. Makes perfect sense. I think it's a mistake. I think it's a mistake made that I think this was the time either to go with both of them or to go with one of Faye Tunnicliffe and Alex Candler. I think it's a misstep, and I think it's potentially going to come up and bite Mandlo when we get to the nitty-gritty and the knockout stages of this World Cup.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised. I think for me, I would have thought they would have taken a Seshni Naidu, because I think when India and Sri Lanka, you're going to need two out-and-out spinners. I know the job that Nondu can do, but can you rely on that on a game-by-game basis? You've got bid-pod bowlers in Dirksen, in Bosch, in Sune shouldn't be a bid-pod bowler. She should be a fully-fledged all-rounder, but she's a reluctant bowler. So what you're telling us is you're going to have to rely on Sune, Chloe Tryon, Nondu to kind of cover up the lack of an out-and-out second spinner for those 10 overs. I think we've taken one extra fast bowler. I didn't see Dumi in this team. I don't see her effectiveness on those pitches. She's already slow bowling slowly, but she's not bowling slow enough to cause them problems. She's not bowling fast enough to cause them problems, and if she's increased pace since the last time we saw her. So I thought she wouldn't make the team. I like Masabata in there because I think she's a really good third seaming option. But you have all these all-rounders, and you're just packing the team with all-rounders but no specialists. And so, somebody needs to support Lefty. She's done a great job with the ball. Bring a spinner in. And Seshni's been in the squad. And I thought because the World Cup is in Sri Lanka and India that you'd use a Seshni Naidu. Also, the other thing is, where in the development scale is Ayanda Hlubi? She may be, she may not be have had a great start to a career, but she still has some of the goods that can work. But I look at this team and it's the same old. I think we can go. I don't even want to say we can make the semis. I think if we make the semis, Marizan and Laura have to be top two players in this tournament. Aya has taken a massive drop off in her bowling. Masabata's had a bit of a renaissance, but it's not something I can write home about, but she's very consistent in what she does. And then all the other bowlers, it's what you get on the day. Nadine, if she's having a good day, you get a good day. Anri Dirksen, same thing. Annika Bosch, I don't think she's going to bowl. Sune Lees has to bowl the 10 overs, but as I try to figure out how we're going to go about defending totals, the bowling is lacking severely. And you can say what you want to say, it's very lacking, and I don't know if we're going to make the semis. I think this might be quite one of those disappointing World Cups. And you're also carrying an extra wicketkeeper. That's the other thing that bothers me a lot. So the balance of the side is just way off. And it's going to be bid-pod bowlers doing here and there. Some are going to be successful, others are not going to be. And it's just going to be a lot of reliance on Nadine de Klerk as well. She's going to have to come through. And with her bowling 50-50, with her batting, I don't know if we can rely on her batting at this point in time. So, yeah. And you speak of Faye, you speak of Alex at the top. With the batters that they have, maybe not include them. But, Faye deserved a chance, a shot at this thing, and I hope she got one, and she knows the reasons why she's not at this World Cup, but I would have included her either way. I don't want to talk about the Danae experiment. I don't understand why you can't phone her and tell her what the requirements are, then bringing her onto a camp to do what? Other players don't get this special treatment. If Danae wants to play, she must go to SA Emerging. She must go play there. Or you phone her and you tell her that these are the things. Or you send her an email or whatever it is. But this thing of taking her on tour, giving her free accommodation and kit, only to be like, oh, well, she's not going to get selected for the World Cup. Oh, okay. Then why is she there? oh no, the future. That's a phone call. That's go to SA Emerging, go to, go there, go and, beat people there and see if you can't be the best there. But yeah, less said better. Good luck to them. There aren't any surprises, but the problem is that when you see this team on the field, it's either Laura scores a bucket load of runs or Marizan is like the best player in this team. For this team to win, Marizan needs to do both. Needs to be the best player in the world. I don't know if she can get there. But if you look at the other overs, you've got 10 from Aya, you've got 10 from Marizan, you've got 10 from Masabata, and you've got 10 from Lefty. That last 10 from your bit part bowlers, that's going to kill you. That's going to be the reason why we don't go forward. And you can cut it whichever way you want it. I'd rather had an out-and-out bowler, especially because I've got an all-round and Marizan already there. So I can carry 4 bowlers.
And one thing they won't admit is that Marizan, as important as she is, and she's crucial for us, her bowling has dropped off. From her very high standards, her bowling has dropped off. You see,
this team's bowling has dropped off a cliff.
So it's a huge concern.
It's dropped off a cliff, and Lefty's going to have to pull a lot of things in this tournament in order to keep this team going. You're going to need like a spell where she takes like 3 and 3 and guts out that middle order, and then you just hope others can come in and help you. But this is Mande's first World Cup squad. It's his first year. I'm going to give him a lot of grace, but this was the one time where you could have made a statement, where you could have been like, you know what, I'm going left field, right? I need people who can fit certain roles, and I think there are people they've left in South Africa that can fit those roles, but they weren't given opportunities in these bilateral series, so there's nothing you can see there. So, yeah. Okay, Tim. That's the Proteas World Cup squad. This whole pod is for SA20, so let's move on today. The title of this thing would be Everything You Need to Know with SA20, and then we'll just say Proteas Women's World Cup squad announcement in the corner, just for you. So, it's a mega auction. Teams had to tell us which players they were retaining, which players they were signing beforehand, and also which players they were letting go into the massive things. And then we have an auction now of 541 players who've put up their hands, 300 South African players and 241 overseas players, with 133 players who qualify under the under 23 situation. So let's go through the stipulations, and then we'll go through each of the teams, and Tim and I will tell you what we think they did in the off season, and then we're going to go through what it is that they would need. And so that's essentially what it is. So let's go through the stipulations. I am going to remove the banner because it is blocking progress. Cool. So in the 4th season of SA20, the squad stipulations are: you need a minimum of 11 South Africans. You're allowed a maximum of 7 overseas players, which kind of gives you a squad of 18. Your salary cap is 41 million, and some teams you'll see don't have a lot of wiggle room there. Teams can sign 1 wildcard player whose fee is not included in the salary cap, and I think some teams are going to be doing that soon. The rookie draft has also been cancelled, and the teams will be required to sign a minimum of 2 under 23 players. 85 slots are in total in this auction are available, so we're going to be looking for 85 players out of that 500. So there'll be some people are disappointed. There's a right to match card, which allows a team the opportunity to match a winning auction bid on a player who played for them in season 3 of SA20 and retain his services in season 4. I'm assuming at the same salary level, right? So so there's a lot of things that we're going to have to, watch out for, but that's essentially where you are. And Tim, I know that there are some teams that don't have a right to match. Is there the rationale behind?
It's because, as I understand, it's because there was a toing and throwing before the auction. So they picked the pre-auction players, and when they picked the pre-auction players, they did the right to match then. So the two teams that are not in here, that don't have right to match, they did that amongst themselves prior to the auction. So they've done it. They can't. You can only do a certain amount. You can't do 11 right to matches. So they've seen out the right to matches. They don't have that luxury in the draft.
No, that is the case. Is that teams have a finite level of, I think it's 2 right to matches.
It's 2,
and
yes. Yeah.
if
So
you
it was
use
it's Paul Royals and
in my Cape Town. No.
In my Cape Town. There we go. Yeah. 2 Cape sites. Yeah.
So, yeah, look, there's a lot of money that's at stake, 131 million rand to be given out to 85 players. And so let's go into the teams one by one. Let's start with the defending champions who don't have a right to match. The MI Cape Town in season 4, they need 13 players. You can see that on the right-hand side. You've got Trent Bolt as your overseas player. Rashid Khan overseas as well. George Linda comes back as a South African. Nicholas Puran is an overseas player. Wicketkeeper coming to join them. Kagiso Rabada. And they've kept Ryan Rickleton. Tim, the big name that's not here is Devil Brevis.
He falls in that... He falls under that under 23 category, so don't be surprised. Yeah, that is a surprise. It is a surprise, but if you do after the show, if you do want to get updates on the SA20 in particular and what's happening prior to the auction, follow SA20 Tracker. I think it's on. It's the. I think his handle is SA20 Tracker on X. I've got a lot of the information that we've got from him. It was very, very helpful. And what he pointed out was Nicholas Puran and Trent Bolt are available for the entire tournament. There are some people that are not, because there are different international tours towards the end during the knockout stages. But those 2 players, I think Nicholas Puran for the entire tournament is massive for my Cape Town. I really think that's a huge, huge plus for them. So that may have played into their thinking in terms of, let's just leave Brevis for now. We've got Bolt and Puran for the entire tournament. That to me already puts them really, really in a good space.
But it's Devil Brevis. They won't be able to match him. I don't think he's going to go for anything less than 10 million. And they've obviously got 11 million left, right? With 13 players needed. So if you look at this team, right, there's gonna be a lot of, guys, you can't be signing people for over 1 million here, right? And you've already used your wild card. So I think financially, this team, after these names, might just go to just some very low-hanging fruit guys who not necessarily are going to get into a bidding war, and the like. And so, I look at this and I'm just shocked, right? Obviously, they don't have a right to match anyway because they've utilized it. But
good point,
is Devil going to come back to haunt them?
It's possible, but as I say, I just feel those particular 2 players. Let me put it this way: if Puran was not there throughout the tournament, I don't think they would have done them right to match. And if they had, they would have come up in a stickler. They would have been wrong. The fact that they've got those players throughout the tournament, I think, will carry them through because there is still a lot of talent there available. I just off the top of my head, Dion Forrester is available. I know he's not Brevis yet. I know he's got some way to go, But if you want a sort of mini Devil Brevis plus he bowls, Tion Forrester would be a very good signing, in my opinion.
Yeah, look, the only problem is, what if someone comes in and gives them a contract above $1 million? Find yourself in a situation. How do you spread 13 players across 11.5 million? That's the problem that they have in this one. They're going to have to find guys who are gems, but you're going to find yourself the moment it goes over $1 million, because other guys have money. You're gonna find a situation where MI might have to wait until the back end of the draft in order to look at players, right? And so that's going to be a very interesting thing to watch, because you kind of are looking at South African players. Anyone who's an international on this auction list is asking for anything 1 million and above, right? So you're looking for guys who are starting at 200,000 and upwards, and that's just normally the domestic South Africans, and then obviously 500K for some of the lesser known internationals at their starting price. So look, it's going to be an interesting one for MI Cape Town, because if you look at this, right, you got all rounders. You've got you've got two guys at the top. You need a lot of cover in the middle order. You're going to need some power hitters here, and you might have to pay a pretty penny for power hitters. You're also going to need someone who's going to be the backup for Trent and Kagiso, right? So I see where they've gone. They've gone with very strong players in their positions. They just need to now fill out those gaps. But the gaps that they need to fill out, in my head, 4, 5, and 6. I'm assuming George is going to be batting somewhere in the top 6. So it's going to be, you need those power hitters. And so, I would have gone a different way. I like Ricks. I would have actually gone for one opener and probably Dierveld and let Ricks, go somewhere else. But I guess that's where they want some solidity at the top.
Yeah, look, this is the nucleus of their squad. That what we see here. If they're going to win the tournament, it's going to come from these boys. It's not going to come from who they're going to sign at the auction. That's unlike some other teams. That's certainly clear. So, if, for example, Trent Bolt and Purant flop, then they've got a problem. If they have bad tournaments, then they've got a huge problem. And then that's going to be, we should have signed Brevis. But it's a risk that they think is worth taking.
Okay. Let's move over to the team they beat in the final, the Sunrisers Eastern Cape, 2-time winners. They couldn't make it a three-peat. And they have 21 million. Looks a little bit better with 14 players needed. Johnny Besto, Mpho from Afghanistan is in as an overseas player. Marco Jansen is their wild card. Adam Milne is their overseas probe from New Zealand, the fast bowler, and obviously Tristan Stubbs is retained. Another team who's going to have an issue with a player coming back to haunt them, Aiden Markram is a big name that's not here. He was their captain. They have right to matches. The problem is at what price? And that's going to be an interesting one going into this one with other teams that have a lot more cap space to do. I know the Pretoria Capitals are looking at him as a potential to bring him back up to the north. Tim, they've got cover at the top with Johnny Besto, who didn't have a great SA20 for the Joburg Super Kings. Tristan Stubbs there in that middle order. Marco Jansen also coming in, giving them very good bowling, similar to MI Cape Town. They've solidified their opening bowling attack, and obviously Mpho is important as a spinner for them. They obviously need to fill out a little bit more, and it's a situation of they've got money, 21 million for 14 players, but the one player they really want back surely is Aiden Markram.
You would think so, wouldn't you? So just to give you sort of a background, they're going to have Bairstow for the entire tournament. But New Zealand do go to India towards the end, I think the second half of the tournament. So if Adam Milne does get picked, they might miss him for some games. So that's something to keep an eye out for them in terms of who they play. Yeah, they're looking a little bit short here. But as you say, they've got more money. They've got a little bit more leeway. They can go for a bit more of a X-factor player. So, for example, if Adam Milne is not there for the second half, they can replace him for somebody who is going for $1 million of a similar ilk, similar sort of fast bowling type. There's going to be a lot of fast bowling options in this tournament. So they're not short of fast bowling options in this draft.
Yeah, look, the likes of Shamar Joseph is in there, and so it's going to be interesting to see how that works, and if they're going to be looking for fast bowlers like that. Shamar Joseph, I think, is going to be one player who is going to fetch a lot of money in this tournament. Yeah, but yeah, they've got they've got a lot of wiggle room. They gutted the entire team essentially, and they kept guys they thought. I like their strategy of having one opener and one power hitter, and then you just try to figure out where it is in the middle instead of MI Cape Town, 2 top order batters, and then you need to kind of figure out what that middle order looks like, right? Because we've always said, like, George Lind is more of a 7 in this. So like for MI Cape Town, that's interesting. But yeah, we're going to go through all the right to matches at the end of this segment, and then we'll just talk and see. And then we're going to talk to some other players that we think, are going to fetch a lot of money. Okay, then let's move to the Durban Supergiants. Right? An interesting one. They managed to get Heinrich Klaassen on a wild card. Remember, your wild cards don't sit in your salary cap, so they've managed to negotiate that with them. Noah Ahmed comes back. Josh Butler is going to be an interesting addition to this Durban Supergiants team, and then Sunil Narayan as the all-rounder there. Only 4 players on this team. They need 15 players with 29.5 million. So that gives you about approximately 2 million per player. So they have more luxury and wiggle room to go for higher quality players to see if they can't fill their team. The only thing I ask for, Lance Klusner, is please don't pick all-rounders again. You can't be the land of all-rounders like you were before. Right, like the Vian Mulder and it was tough to watch. The remember there was that West Indian I just saw. It was Johnson Drake, it was Johnson Charles, and it was Vian Mulder, and you're like, guys, what are we doing here? So more specialists, DSG, than all-rounders, but you do need a few all-rounders in there. You've covered yourself. I think the only thing that's missing here is obviously you're resting on Noah Ahmed, but the big issue was away from Durban, you still need an out-and-out fast bowler, top quality international fast bowler who can cause problems, right? This thing of, yes, Noah Ahmed, he's amazing, but yeah, that's been the bugbear for me with this team. Specialists, please, in this thing, and yeah, someone who can give you 150, like a Joe. Look, if Gerald wants a renaissance, maybe and Durban is gonna be tough for him, but when they travel away from home, they'll be fine. But like Kutsia, Berger, that type of ilk, Shamar Joseph, those types of players that can get you there. And yeah, you need batting. They need a lot of batting. But what they've done is they've covered themselves at the top with one of the best openers in the world of cricket. They've covered themselves in that middle order with the best power hitter in the game. And now they just need to give them people to work around them, right? I like the whole Kane Williamson thing last year. I thought it was great, that type of vibe. But you need a little bit more power hitters to add to Heinrich, like probably get Heinrich a partner, and see where that goes to. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. But they've got more money, and yeah, it's gonna be they I'm more of a situation of going to the auction either with ready-made players and needing to fill out the gaps, and that's what I think MI Cape Town is looking, but they're more end of the auction. DSG and SEC front of auction. When Aiden Markram goes on the block, DSG is probably going to put in a young cheeky bid there, and it's gonna flow through. The only problem is who's going to be the first one to pay 10 million for a player, to clean out that salary cap for a player. But if you do that, you find yourself in the same situation that MI Cape Town is. You get that 10 million player, you then sit at the back for everyone else to finish picking. And I don't like that, having that restriction in auction, and DSG have not restricted themselves. Blank canvas. Let's see what they're going to do. Cool. Let's go to Paul.
I'm just gonna add, they're gonna miss the Rhine because the Rhine is going to ILT20. This is what happens quite a lot. Purin happened to Purin last season, so that's gonna be a miss. I'm not sure how many games, but he's definitely going to ILT20, and also England are going to play some white ball series during the tournament, as I understand it, which means Butler will also not be available for the entire tournament. So they are going to need replacements for those two.
Yes, they definitely are going to need replacements. Okay, let's look at Paul. Let's go to Paul, to the team, similar to DSG, very spinner heavy. They went a similar way to potentially MI Cape Town, but they end up with more money than MI Cape Town. Bjorn Fortuin has been retained. Ruben Hanman, the wild card, that was interesting for me. I'd have let him go into the auction, largely because I think, if he gets a pretty penny, but there are many other players I would have loved to secure with a wild card. But he's having a great time anyway. For the Proteas, him and his brother doing really well there. David Miller as the captain, Luandre Pretorius coming in, Sikandar Raza as the overseas pro, and Mujib coming back. They need 13 players at 14.5. They're going to be there at the start of the thing. The moment they get a guy over 5 million or whatever it is, they move to the back of the auction. But it's going to be interesting to see what they can do. I think they can still find some quality, at the 1.5 price range. But Tim, what do you make of their retentions right now?
I like this. And I actually like the fact that Ruben has got a wild card. It is, for me, it's a signal. I really want guys that come through our system to be promoted, to be talked about, to be successful. And while, yes, he started at Northerns, his professional setup really started at Mpumalanga. To go from Mpumalanga to where he is now, to the Proteas, and then all the way to SA20 as a wild card. That is some rise for a very special player. So I love that. I love that story. I hope people talk more about that. I think that's a great thing. Overall, I like this. I like the signings they've made. Sikandar Raza, he might be 39, but he is the number one all-rounder in the world in, I think, it's a T20 cricket, which is incredible. It really, really is incredible. He's as I say, he might be, in terms of age, 39, but he is still performing at an extremely high level. So I'm really happy for him. Obviously, you got David Miller, Pretorius is still there. If those two get going, we said it last season. If those two get going, it could be very, very exciting. They need more. They need more, obviously. You don't want to just lean on those three, Ruben, David, and Luandre. But they've got Sikandar. Bjorn is just a 100%. He's a really important cog at the side. So I like it so far. I like it, and they've got enough money to spread their wings.
So the thing for me with Ruben is, I think he's great, right? But has he proven himself at that international level, at the top level, for you to be giving him a wild card. If you look at the wild cards that we have, it's either seasoned South African pros, Klassen, Kagiso. Who's the wild card here? We're yet to see the wild card at SEC. Or Marco Jansen, right? So it's pro-tier level players, right? Paul always likes to do this. So give youngsters a chance and try and elevate them a little bit earlier than normal, which is why also the surprise for me is why aren't they looking to keep a Gwena, right? If you let Gwena go into the market, Gwena's going to catch a pretty penny. He hasn't had the greatest of years, but surely that's the type of wild card you want. But I'm happy that it's a batting wild card. And the other question is, couldn't you have found an all-round option as a wild card to kind of help you get there, right? You know, there are many destructive batters around the world. You could get yourself, you know, someone who can guarantee you wins. Ruben does not guarantee me wins. Marco does. Klassen does. Kagiso does. Ruben, if Paul does well, Ruben does well. But if Paul doesn't do well, I'm not going to be looking at Ruben. I need David Miller's that type of guy. But obviously they use the salary for him. So that's my only thing. Because the wild card it's that salary. You can pay someone beyond your salary cap. You can give them 100 million for all we care, right? And I'm not sure if he's the guy you use it on. I'm not saying leave him out into the auction, but retain him. Don't make him your wild card. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. I think he's a talent, he's a class, but if he can't make the Proteas team now, why are we paying? Why is he our wild card? So
he has made he's not in England at the moment, which actually in my mind is actually a little bit of a surprise. But you know, be that as it
may. It's a surprise that he's not in England for the T20 series with the team that we have.
Yes. I'm surprised he started the squad. Yeah. A little bit.
Okay.
Anyway, the boys on a rise. Everything is shining for him. Right now, everything is hot. I have no issues with it. I hope it keeps shining for him because I like him a lot.
Sorry, just sorting out many fires here. But anyway, cool. That's Paul. Ruben Hanman. Congratulations, man. Hope it's hope the truck is like you bring the money in a truck at your house. You deserve it. Yeah. I would have gone a little bit away, but I'm a different. Okay. The Highveld teams. Let's go Pretoria Capitals and we'll go JSK. The Capitals are like, you know what? We want all the money in the world. So Andre Russell is our wild card, which, yeah, that's an interesting one. Will Jacks comes back. Shafane Rutherford is the other retention and signee. 16 players needed, 32.5 million. Tim, is part of this money to retain, to get Brevis and Markram in the cap?
I hope not. I seriously hope not. But it's certain to get one of those two, you think. And with the new coaching setup, so obviously Saab Ganguly is the new head coach, and Sean Pollock is his assistant, which was an interesting one when I saw that on social media. Sean has seen a lot of cricket in South Africa over the years. I think Ganguly will pick his own players, but Sean might have some say. And if he does, you would have to think that somebody big is going to get a gig over there. I'm surprised. Talking about wildcards, I'm surprised to go with Andre. Yeah, I really am. Wonderful cricketer, but he's struggling recently with injuries. He's got dodgy knees. He's not a guy that I would be giving my wild card to. That I can't guarantee he'll be fit throughout the tournament. But you know, they've made the decision.
Yeah. Look, there's another player who they're thinking they can get, Quinny de Kock in Pretoria.
Yes, probably. Yeah. Look, yeah. And he'd be the sort of character that Ganguli would go for as well. Ganguli would go for people like that. Yeah. Indeed.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. Anwar Nokia is the big guy that they did not retain. I'm not sure if they'll use a right to match, but there's going to be a point in the auction where everyone's going to be looking for a fast bowler. And yeah, I think if we'll talk about which right to matches I'm holding, and I'm going to want to use later on. But yeah, Nokia is the interesting one. But obviously he's been injured, but he's been playing a lot of T20s and around. So I was surprised that they weren't able to meet to get there. The other thing is for me, I know obviously Quinny hasn't been in the system for a while, but he's the type of guy I would have wildcarded. I don't think his stock has fallen that much. Yes, in the IPL, but I think he's still decent enough to get some sort of a wild card deal. But yeah, look, everyone is they're going to be busy from the get-go. Pretoria Capitals are going to be out here. The only problem is when the players they want come out and how much they think those players are going to go for. Remember, I think Stubbsy got like 10 million in that first auction or close to it, and you just sat there going, oh, okay, so this is how it's going to be. So Capitals, a lot of ammo, not a lot of players right now, but yeah, we're just not sure where they're going with Andre Russell. And also Shofane Rutherford. Like, folks, really? Nah. Okay. JSK, Joburg Super Kings, my team. Similar boat to one of the others. I think it's SEC. 14 players needed, 21.5 million there. Faf du Plessis, Donovan Ferreira, the wild card. That's very interesting now. Richard Gleeson comes in. He was good for SEC, but the other Richard Gleeson that played for DSG, he wasn't great in that early one. Akil Hussain and James Vince. Hey, guys, again, why James Vince? I do not know. Unless of Tim, you can tell me that he's doing well at the 100, but I know you're not watching the 100. Akil Hussain also is a very interesting, compared to all the spinners they've had. No, man. But anyway, 21.5 million, 14 players needed. They need youth, Tim. They need youth and people who are capable. Look, I think, you've got three batters, three out and out batters. You've got Gleeson as a bowler and Akil Hussain. Yeah, you just need to get younger here. And I think they're trying. Just not, obviously, Faf will always take the average age up, but James Vince is again, type of situation. This is Johnny Bairstow 2.0, and he doesn't even have the talent that Mr. Bairstow had.
Yeah. All I could say is I'm glad my Hampshire friends are not listening to you, because they would be giving you flames with your...
That must come.
Down talk of James Vince. Unbelievable. James Vince is a beautiful player.
Yes. Can he play T20s?
Absolutely. But you're right. In terms of... they've got a problem. And they had a problem last year. Old men. That's a problem. If they sign Devin Conway at the draft, then you know that their season is done before they've even finished. If they
I
go
looked
along
at that
those
name
lines,
and I was like, he's starting at 200. He's starting at 200K, Tim. Don't give him. Look, here's the thing. I'm looking here. Fabian Allen. I'll take Fabian Allen. He's interesting. I'd have taken him. And he's also a little bit of an all-rounder, right? You're giving me James Vince. I see Faf. But yeah. You see, this is the moment where the Pretoria Capitals, if they were smart, do you know who that wild card would have been for me? And I would have waited until the end of the auction. Do you know who that wild card would have been for me? AB de Villiers. If you see AB de Villiers on this Pretoria Capital sheet, aren't you excited? Aren't you selling?
He's been asked this, several times since the that tournament that he won with a South African team. He's been asked several times. And he said the same thing over and over again. He said it'll just be those sorts of leagues that he'll play in and just for fun. I wonder if he could be convinced to come back for this. I genuinely wonder. I don't think he will. Let's put it that way. I don't think he will. But I do wonder if there was somebody who was close to him and just said, listen, don't you want to have some fun? Don't you want to have 6 weeks of fun? It really would be some call by some team if they did that. It really would.
Yeah. Look, JSK's got money, right? They've got 21 million, but I feel like you still need they lack that player, right? PC has Will Jacks. I'm gonna go through all the others. You've got David Miller at thingy at Paul, and potentially you could say Luandre. You've got Heinrich Klaassen and Josh Butler. You've got this one's also a very weird one, but I'll give you Stubbs. Form wise, not so much. Marco Jansen and Stubbs. MI Cape Town, there's just Puran, Gachiso, Trent, Rashid. This Donovan's great, guys, but again, inconsistent in doing this. Great 100. If he can bring that in here, awesome. But again, he's not even in a Protea setup. He is now, and we're going to see him in a couple of weeks because we've been asking for him. But is he the type of guy you spend wildcard money on? I think what JSK was saying was we want him back and we don't want to be in a fight for him. Happiness. Happy to do that.
Also, it's recency bias.
Yes.
Which one player has been smacking it out the park 5 minutes ago? Jonathan Ferreira. Jonathan Ferreira is red hot right now. Red hot. So if he wasn't the wild card, he would go for a lot of money. I guarantee it. I guarantee it.
Yeah. So look, that comes off obviously the salary cap and everything else. That doesn't come off the salary cap. So yeah, cool. So that's JSK. Not all happy, but yeah. So they're teams who are gonna be there, moving, pushing around, and have money for like a 5 million and all of that. The only teams that probably don't have the cash for like a 5 million type of player are MI Cape Town and I'm assuming Paul Royals. Yeah. But Paul could have one, and then you're just bargain basementing there with guys who with low starting prices. Interesting to see Devil Brevis' starting prices at 500,000. Maybe it's a tactic, but anyway, cool. Right to match availability. These are the players who were let go by their teams, and now will have a right to may have a right to match. I'm just trying to sort out the banner. The logo at the top. Sorry. This is bad podcasting. Just need to figure that one out. Anyway, cool. Pretoria Capitals have let go of Anuk Nokia, Ethan Bosch, Riley Rousseau, Carl Verena, Tian van Vieren, Miguel Pretorius, Steve Stock, Dan DePavalon, Carl Simmons, Keegan Leoncashe, Gideon Peters, Matthew Boast, Marcus Ackerman, Wayne Parnell, Will Smead, Ramatula Gurbaz. Which player would you use your right to match on, Tim, if you are the Pretoria Capitals, with the money that you have?
Yeah, I'm gonna. It's between. That's a problem with this. It's between Nokia, because I know what he can do. I know what he's incredibly capable of. But then the versatility of Kyle. So it's Nokia or Kyle for me.
Yeah. And to a certain extent, I think Kyle's not going to go for a lot. Depending on when he comes in, he might go for like a couple of million. But this team has the money to match whatever. Because the thing for Pretoria Capitals compared to all the others is that they won't have a lot of money to spend on players. So auctions are going to end around. People are going to start getting very iffy around 2 to 3 million. And so that's a nice little range for a Kyle or an Anuk Nokia to solidify and get yourself a very top quality fast bowler and also a very good top quality middle order batter. So and wicketkeeper as well. So that's going to be an interesting one. I look at this list and I'm like, yeah, those are the two I would use. My right to match on. JSK, Kutsia, Berger, Visa, Filyoun, Shamsi, Tahir, Sibs Makanya, Libba, Jones, JP King, Sapamla Moreki, Patterson, Lazard Williams, Bjorn Hendricks, Doug Bracewell, Devon Conway. Oh, yeah, I think he had Luando Pretorius there, but Moeen Ali.
Yeah. Obviously, sorry, the white was a mistake because he's in the pile side. Do you go with a 45-year-old? That's the question. That's the only question I have. Because I'm watching Gerald at the moment for the SA side, and I'm going short. He's not there. He ain't there at the moment. Berger, I'm picking 100%. Gerald, I'm looking at the SA performances, and I'm going, maybe not. I should be picking him, but maybe not. Maybe I'm not gonna just let that slide.
So my right to match is between these two, right? It's Berger, and you have to then, if you have to use a second one, it's between Tahir and Shamsi. I see that they've got Akil Hussein. You need another spinner, another high quality spinner. And
I'm going with Imi. Going with the 46-year-old, however old he is.
The thing for me is Imi's going to fetch a lot of money. And so my worry is he might take your salary cap entirely. A Shamsi might not. Right. And so, like, if I look at all the other teams, from a spinning perspective, they're largely set, except for obviously Pretoria Capitals. And JSK is also set from a premier spinner perspective. But like, if you want a second one, this would be it, right? You know, someone you'd be looking at. But yeah, but I'd see where Tahir comes. Like, if Tahir's over 5 million, I'm not paying.
Yeah,
that's essentially, like, you know, where it is. Like, if Shamsi's around 2 million, I'll pay that. Nandre Berger, if Nandre is at 5 million, I'm matching it. This team needs a talisman who's not injured. The biggest issue with him was he was injured last season. So, but yeah, if you can't get Shamar Joseph, go get Nandre Berger. And this is the home in me talking. Okay, Matthew Bretsky at DSG, Quinton de Kock, Keshav Maharaj, Vian Mulder, Dwayne Pretorius, Brendan Subra, Bryce Parsons, Junior Dala, JJ Smuts, Jason Smith, CJ King, Brandon King, Shamar Joseph, Naveen Ulhag. Oh, what I'd do to get Brandon King back. What I would do. For me, it's Brandon King. Yep. And Shamar. It's Brandon King or Shamar. It's Brandon King and Shamar.
I'm going Brandon King, absolutely. I'm leaving Shamar because there are a lot of fast bowling options for me. If I don't get, I don't need Shamar. Shamar's a very, very exciting guy, but it's a lot of fast bowling options that I can use. I'm going Britsky. That's what I'm going. Britsky's in a good space right now. I'm going Matthew.
Matthew Britsky. That is very interesting. Okay. Yeah. Okay. If you, look, it's not that I'm not into Matthew Britsky. I just, yeah. Okay. That's an interesting one. And then the last one, Markram. ACC have right to matches. So it's Markram, Bartman, Bedingham, Spare Sonapool, Jordan Herman, Patrick Kruger, Simon Harmer, Caleb Seleka, Andile Similano, Gutletele, Daniel Smith, Tony DeZorzi, Rulof and Maverick, Tom Abel, Craig Overton. It's Aiden.
It's Aiden. 7 days a week, it's Aiden. It's always Aiden.
If I need to use that second one, I'm going with recency bias and going Jordan Herman.
Yes, even though T20s is not his thing, Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Quite right.
I'm going recency bias there. If that's the case, if I have to use a second one, I wouldn't necessarily use one. I'd use it for Aiden, but Aiden might get 10 million. Aiden might get a lot of money in this thing. Okay, so just a couple of big names in this auction, and then we're gonna go to the under 23s. You've got Shakib Al-Hassan, you've got James Anderson. I don't know where Jimmy's gonna go, but it's gonna be interesting. Someone's gonna get Jimmy. Who does Jimmy fit with? Who does Jimmy fit with? Alex Hales.
JSK.
Oh, please no. Please no.
The pension is 11.
Then you might as well then use the right to match on Imran Tahir. Alex Hales, Moin Ali comes back. Adam Rossington, Jordan Cox, Daniel Worrell, some of the English guys there. Darcy Short is also there. Devon Conway is one of the couple of the names that are there. The under 20 rising stars, you've got Deva Brevis, you've got Kwena Mapaka and Dilesi Malane. Question for you, Tim. Any players, what's the list of players that you're like, these guys are going to fetch a lot of money?
I think we've covered them. I'm just trying to think here. They're going to be the English chaps. Let me just put it that way. They're going to be the English chaps. We've got 92 of them here. This draft is going to be the English chaps. So it's going to be possibly a John Turner. I know he's a fast bowler. We're not short of fast bowling options. Possibly Benny Howell. People who know T20 cricket use those as very, very. He's only got 200 on the auction, yeah, but I reckon he'll go for more than that. I'm just trying to think, yeah. So, they don't seem to have. Trying to look here. Where are the? Oh, Alex Hales. Yeah, Alex will go for plenty.
He's gonna go for plenty. Yeah, like the teams that don't have another opener and does like Pretoria Capitals could get Alex Hales. They've got the money too. I think Alex might go for like 5-6 million.
And the other chap to keep an eye out is Ollie Robertson. Ollie Robertson, not the. I'm assuming not the bowling Ollie Robertson. I'm assuming this is the wicketkeeper. If it's the wicketkeeper batsman, I reckon he could go from 1.5. He's got 500k on here. I reckon I'd be surprised if he can go because of his versatility. There are less English batsmen here than I thought. I thought we had more English batsmen. We've got English sort of all-rounders.
Yeah, they've got a lot of bowlers.
Less of the batting category. So it's difficult, actually.
Yeah. So, look, I think I'm just going to go through. Obviously, there's the Afghanistan contingent. If you look here, Naveen ul Haq, he's going to fetch a pretty penny. Waqar Salam Kale again. Someone's gonna throw their hats at him. Hazratullah Zaza. Ooh, Hazratullah, man. Okay. And then obviously we've got 2 Australians, but one that matters is Darcy Short. Interesting to see how he's going to do with the big bash there. That I think might catch a pretty penny. Darcy Short. He's amazing. Shakib. JSK. That's a JSK player. Shakib Al-Hassan is a JSK player. Just because he's an old man. And he can do many things. But he's also like if DSG got him, I'd be like, yeah, they want all rounders. But they're gonna fight over him a lot. He's gonna get a lot of money. Looking at the English guys, just going through here to see but Jake Ball, my word, guys. No. Dom Bess. No, guys. No. John Turner, I see. Jordan Cox. I think he's gonna go for a load of money. Jason Roy's still back in the auction. Tawanda Muyeye is an interesting one. He could go into a little bit of a bidding war. I like the way he bats.
The problem the owners have, in my mind, is they go where they go. They go, Muyeye has not played in ILT20, CPL, Big Bash, PSL, therefore we can't pick him. That's what happens. That's what happens.
And then the other player, the Ollie Robinson we have is the Ollie Robinson who's the fast bowler. So him and Craig Overton might go for a pretty penny if you're looking for
They don't have a wicketkeeper. I'm my word. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Cool. And then there's some Irish players. George Dockrell, Josh Little, maybe Josh Little. Yeah, you could do that. Dockrell is also very interesting. Got some Namibians here. Ruben Trimpelmans could be a very cheap option as a fast bowler. I like him as a lefty. He can open the bowling for you. He can do some things for you at 200K. These are the type of things where if I'm MI Cape Town, these are the type of players I'd like to bring. They haven't seen him in South Africa. He won't get figured out. I think he's Namibia's best player, right? So yeah, and then our Dutch friends there. Rula might get something from someone. He's 41, so JSK might just be like, here you go. But yeah, just going through. New Zealand's got a few guys. It's Corey Anderson. I think Corey Anderson might be an interesting one for someone. He's still quite a destructive batter lower down the order if you want to take a punt as for an overseas.
I'd be surprised. I'd be surprised. Of the American guys that there are in this auction, I'm going Andrews House. House will come back because he is now playing.
Corey Anderson's listed as New Zealander here. That's why I'm going through that. And obviously we start with the South Africans. Gerard Coetzee is going to go into a bidding war. He's going to get quite a few guys. He might come out with just above 2 million here in this tournament. Gagwena Mapaka most definitely under 23 will be paid. I'm surprised. Well, obviously, but Paul doesn't have a right to match, so I'm surprised no one's picked him up as a wild card. I still think in this format, Gwena is the most dangerous. Is very dangerous. I'm surprised no one's wanted to throw money at him. Starting at 500K. Just going down, looking through the list of the South Africans. Obviously, Devil Brevis, Aiden Markram, Quinton de Kock's gonna go for a pretty penny. The other person who I think is gonna go for a pretty penny because if you're looking for an opening option or a top order option, is Reza. He's fallen out of the Proteas, but Reza can still do it for you. And I honestly think he's going to be in a bit of a bidding war with everyone, and he might end up being quite a lucrative pick. Obviously,
Joe's case replacement for Devon Conway.
It might be him and Devon Conway. Don't joke, bro. Don't joke with me. Keegan Leon Cachet, who played for the Pretoria Capitals and did quite well. He could be a really nice under 20. Slade van Staden's back. Wow. You mentioned Deon Forrester. He's going to go for a pretty penny. He really knows how to play in this format. Rassi's in the auction as well. Someone's going to try fight for Rassi. He's gonna get some cash here. Miguel Pretorius is an interesting one, right? I don't think people are going to look past him, but I do think the moment we have like a second round, he might be getting some bits there as well. Vian as well. Vian's all-round ability is going to get him bought by someone, if not DSG. Garnet Tar, I think also a youngster, obviously not under 23, but he's going to get a contract here in one of these teams and possibly even a starting berth because I think he should. There's the Silitswanis from the under 23 perspective. Just looking through this list. I see Temba Bavuma's there, but obviously he's not going to necessarily be fought over. There you go. Aiden Markram, Deval Brevis, one after the other. One is 22, so he fits your under 23. Aiden Markham's going to go for a lot of money. Matthew Bretsky, if he's not retained by DSG, he's also going to go for quite a lot of money. He's done really well of recent. You still have the Riley Rousseaus, the Duan Oliviers in the auction. John Smuts is also someone who's going to be fought over by a lot of people. He's not everyone's cup of tea, but in this format, he's very dangerous, Tim. And then there's the JP Kings and the King brothers as well. They will probably go as under 23s. Just having a look here. There's obviously a whole host of South Africans. Mutusami is an interesting one. We've seen him play for the Proteas. He's up there. Someone's going to look for a spinner.
I'd be surprised if he was picked. I love Sen, but I'd be very surprised. I'd be very surprised.
Respect us, Tim. He's a Proteas international. Just going through this list. There's obviously the Sri Lankans. Any key names here? Mahesh Tikshana is also going to go for a lot of money. He is such a great or a spin bowler. It's going to come down to availability. You still have Kusal Pereira. He was really good for Pretoria Capitals to start off with there. I think the Sri Lanka, Dinesh Chandima. Wow. Okay. There's the names here who are looking to be taken up, and then obviously you got the USA contingent, and you mentioned Andries Gous. I think he's going to go for quite a lot of money. And then when did Heath Richards become a USA player?
He goes over during our winter and plays in the one of their leagues. Now he's done it for about 3 years now. So he comes over, he plays for Godfrey Badgers, but then as soon as season finishes, he goes over there.
So here's the West Indies. I think this is where the value comes in, right? So you've got Fabian Allen, you've got Jaden Seals, who probably going to fetch a pretty penny here. Jaden Seals is just going to be Shamar Joseph as well. Some guys will take a fly on Johnson Charles, but I think you might also get a bit of a bidding war. Obed McCoy, Chemo Paul, those types of players will always get a view. Jules Andrew, for me, youngster, very, very good at the World Cups. I think he's someone like if you're looking for like a diamond in the rough, Paul Royals, possibly someone like him. And then
we're short of West Indian batters. We've got the bowlers.
No, there's a lot of batters. There's Alec Athanaze. There's I'll give you some of the names. Obviously, Jules Andrews there, Brandon King. Yeah, no, but like, look, they've got batters. I just don't think they are T20 like batters. That's the only difference. Kari Pierre, Casey Carty, there's guys. Alec Athanaze, they're there.
The only guys that I would be touching is Brandon King and Nicholas Purran in terms of batting. The rest of them, you're taking a risk.
I'll put in Jules Andrew there. Respect the young brother. At 19, and then obviously there's some Zimbabweans here. Richard Ngarava, Sean Williams, Ryan Burrell. Take a pick. But yeah, 500 players, 541 players. On Tuesday, we're going to be going through not pretty much all of them, but we're going to go through majority of them, trying to pick 85 players. We try to give you as much as possible. It's so Tuesday is watch the money, watch the players, and then try as they go through, try to figure out what the styles are. And we're going to come back in a review show to kind of let you know what the squads look like and how they've done it, right? You might just see DSG going, I want all-rounders. JSK might go 40 plus, 35 plus 40. That's how we go. But Paul Rose might be like, give me all the youngsters. We want all the youngsters. Anyone who's unproven, come through. MI Cape Town might end up being like, well, we don't have all the money, but let's roll back Riza. Let's roll back Rassi. Let's do that. SEC might be like, well, who's an Eastern Caper here? Anybody else who wants to play in the Eastern Cape? So that's what this thing's going to be. So yeah, I hope we've done it justice, and yeah, it's going to be quite interesting on Tuesday. But yeah, we'll be back next week, probably on Monday, to review the SAA, where the Hardeman brothers are just dominating New Zealand. And then on top of that, also the Proteas, who are currently playing right now. They had a 50-run partnership between Rix and Aiden, but Rix is now out for 35, if you want to know where we are and you want to timestamp it. But yeah, Tim?
Let us know let us know in the comments who you would sign and for which team. We will reply and tell you what you think. Let us know in the comments. And I know I've left it the last few weeks. The community section is still available. If you've got something to do with South African cricket, you want to let us know us about, you want us to promote it, you want us to talk about it, there's the email address, sacricketpod@gmail.com. Any community drive that you're doing of donation of cricket equipment, you're doing a clinic of some kind leading up to the upcoming season, whatever it is, send us an email and we'll promote it.
Yeah, no, most definitely. We need to, still put the community forward, and please send us any emails if you want to talk to us and let us know what it is. But yeah, season 4 of the SA20 is coming up. The review show is going to be more interesting than this, but yeah, the preview show of the auction is going to be fun. It's a mega auction. I'm excited. I hope you are too. Yeah, let's see what the teams do, because they have tendencies. So let's see if the tendencies will come through. But from myself and Tim, it's goodbye and lesale kakahiso.